Mike Lindell's lawyer, in his opening statement, essentially took a match to everything that Mike Lindell's believers thought this trial would be about. They are not going to submit evidence to try to prove anything about the 2020 election being rigged. His lawyer says it's just words. All Mike Lindell did was talk. They are going to claim Mike Lindell believed he was telling the truth and that it doesn't have to be true. That is as good as admitting he was not telling the truth. Claiming that if Mike Lindell loses, no one on the left or right will be able to talk about voting machines again. The attorney for the plaintiff said you will see Mike Lindell knowingly promoted false claims and debunked data. It was a hoax. They're saying Mike Lindell was putting on a hoax. They also said you'd better bring the receipts if you're going to accuse someone of treason and being part of the biggest crime we've ever seen. Mike Lindell yesterday stood on the courthouse steps making claims about elections and voting machines, blaming China and Satan himself. The Give, Send, Go for this has over $300,000. And you have to remember, money has just been flowing between different Mike Lindell-related enterprises to keeping them running. MyPillow, Frank Speech, Lindell TV, all of them have been, I don't even know how you, like a homunculus of election claims. Mike Lindell has argued in court. I've read court documents trying to separate things and MyPillow shouldn't be responsible for Frank's speech, but also Mike Lindell shouldn't be responsible for what's on Frank's speech, all this type of stuff. But at the end of the day, I can tune in, and I have tuned in to Lindell TV segments making election claims followed with a MyPillow ad. All of this is incestuous and mixed, and that is why this could really be the end of Mike Lindell. If you haven't followed Mike Lindell like I have, he has done so much. This image behind me, I believe, is from the Cyber Symposium. I don't believe I have the videos up anymore, but I covered him. I covered him extensively. I covered all of his events. I followed it. I watched it. I was the person that actually sat there and watched these things. And they were a joke, in my opinion. They were terrible. He had an event, for example, where he claimed to have data. And he invited a select group of experts to come look at this data. And if you could disprove him, you would get $5 million. And you know what happened? He got disproved. Mike Lindell got disproved. And then, knowing the expert he brought in, knowing that, Mike Lindell didn't pay. Last update I saw, the guy went to court. Court ordered Mike Lindell had to pay him. Probably on appeal. I haven't followed an update. But this is a pattern. Mike Lindell just says things, and when it is debunked, when it's obviously false, when there's no way it's true, that never seems to be the end of Mike Lindell saying it. And the defense, from what I can gather, is what? He's too stupid to know that that things got debunked? That the rest of society can know it, but Mike Lindell's not smart enough? Is that what we're going with? Seems like it. This is a man who has spent years pushing these claims. And do you know where you don't see this man anymore? At the White House or with Trump. He has been thrown aside. There's been a lot of Trump people thrown aside. Another one would be Lin Wood. You might not even know who Lin Wood is. He also recently lost in court, and he just stopped being invited around Trump. Mike Lindell, according to reports, was wanting to bring in MyPillows to court in this case to complain about their not being lumpy. There are depositions of Mike Lindell freaking out when he gets questioned on things. And you're probably thinking, okay, well, his law team has to be competent, right? He has a lawyer who went viral previously, I believe it was for being the first one, to stand up and walk around during a Zoom trial without pants on. His law team also submitted documents that cited case law that didn't exist and miscited what case law represented, and it ended up being AI. And they are possibly getting sanctions for that. I don't think that's been resolved yet. But then, even if you put trust in that law team, Mike Lindell wants to testify. I've watched Mike Lindell do events. I've watched Mike Lindell make claims. Mike Lindell at one point tried to claim that he was like stabbed with a needle or something in an elevator, and all of it just, there was a whole investigation, as far as I'm aware, that ended up just not being a thing. I believe it was even one of his own supporters he was making the claim against at that time. Like, I've watched him freak out in depositions. I've watched him freak out on his network. I've watched him freak out in person. I've watched him freak out at the DNC, because he went to the DNC undercover after shaving off his mustache. And he wants to get on the stand. And he wants to testify. People talk about how bad it would be for like Lori Vallow, right, to go on stand because of her attitude, partly. Imagine Mike Lindell. Do you think Mike Lindell is going to stand by and not just say the craziest stuff in response to provocations, which will be questions? They'll do legit questions that are prodding. And I think he'll fall for it. And not just because of who he is, but the stress. He is looking at losing MyPillow. He's looking at losing Frank's Speech, Lindell TV, everything, his livelihood, all his money. He's already talking about how he can't pay distributors. He can't pay this. He can't pay that. He is broke. Mike Lindell, if you didn't know, appears to be broke. He repeatedly claims he's broke, at least. We'll sure find out if he loses. Now, obviously, I'm not going to cover this every day. I'm going to kind of wait for important moments. Today is opening, so I thought I would mention it. Also, any coverage you want to follow is going to be really hard because there's not only no video, there's not only no audio, the people inside are not allowed to do live texting of what happens. They have to leave the courthouse and update outside the courtroom. So, expect a lot of journalists to do updates at the end of the day. And this case is going to probably take a while. There's a lot of evidence on the docket. It is on Court Listener. You can go and read through as much as you want. Most of it has been paid for with people with Pacer, so it's public access now. Some of it isn't. There's new stuff being filed all the time. And we don't even know who's all going to testify and say things because, like, right now, Mike Lindell's claim that the plaintiff was in a secret Antifa call. So I briefly skimmed through it. The prosecution believes, the plaintiff believes that basically this guy's going to get called to the stand. He's going to try to use like a journalist claim, but he's already lost possibly that in court, but maybe not, but they don't know. It's a whole thing where a court's already found him like not credible. So his like journalism claim wouldn't be a thing. There's a whole document for that. You can make your own decisions there. That's what I got from light reading. Maybe I misread it, but either way, there's going to be a lot more filings, a lot more information. And sadly, I'm not going to be able to follow this as close as I would want with Lori Vallow coming up. I'm just not. Now, if Lori Vallow comes in tomorrow on like a stretcher and they delay the case until July, sure, I might try to do more of a daily update with Lindell as best I can. But what a case. This really could be the end of Mike Lindell. With no exaggeration, this could be the end of Mike Lindell.